the power of the great framework in automation and artificial intelligence projects. Why starting projects without framework in a hand, it's very risky and it could take you to a home run, but usually will take you to the blind spot. So before I will answer this question, let me quickly introduce what is a framework. Framework is a set of steps, actors, and timeline with the clear output we expect after the project is done. So a framework is, generally speaking, a process that have a very well defined steps, actors responsible for specific tasks, and a suggested or estimated timeline for delivering the well-defined output. There is no great framework without a great problem statement. The problem statement is required before starting automation project or artificial intelligence implementation because it cannot deliver, the project cannot deliver a great output without great problem statement. There is also a risky part in this, that if we don't define what exactly problems we wanted to solve with automation or artificial intelligence, we might try to deliver a lot of different outputs, and then it will drag us away from the core goal we want to achieve. So the framework, I will repeat that again, is a great steps. It's a set of steps delivered by specific actors through the specific timeline with the well-defined output. What are the great characteristics of framework? First of all, framework should be relevant and already tested. Let me give you an analogy here. If we think about fitness goals, you might set up for yourself or for your friends, or you saw somebody set up for themselves. It's a set of tasks. But if you think about those tasks, they need to be relevant and already tested. If you are about to enter a fitness program and you want to achieve specific goal, like for instance, work on your posture or work on your body shape or work on your health, like blood pressure and other elements like this, you want to make sure that you have a steps designed by the person that already designed that steps for somebody. That's a condition number one. Element number two is that steps should work for another person, meaning that you probably will be not that open for entering the program for the first time because you might feel not safe in delivering the results you expect. But even if those first two conditions are met, the condition number three is very important. This program should work for somebody like you. You might be high, you might be tall, you might be a woman, and you might be in your middle age, and you expect that program to work for somebody like you. In frameworks should be the same. They should be prepared for the company that that framework already worked for the same type of the company. But also that framework should be tested before, because it's extremely hard to design steps that work for everybody. So tested framework narrow down the risk of the failure significantly. So that's the first great characteristic of the good frameworks. The second one, it should be very transparent. Framework should be very transparent. That means that the steps you want to, the task you want to conduct should have a clear start and clear end. Otherwise, because artificial intelligence and automation is such a wide scope, such a wide discipline, I would say, that might be very difficult to navigate tasks which are open when it comes to deliverables or timelines. So every task should be very transparent, well defined, which in automation and artificial intelligence it's very difficult, because it's very difficult to define when we actually done with testing the specific artificial intelligence model, or when the specific process is automated to that level that we might say the automated was actually done and delivered. So this is very critical in great framework to have tasks very clearly defined and transparent. Thing number three is that actors should be experienced and directly aligned to specific tasks. In projects like automation, artificial intelligence, we have usually actors like data scientists, data engineers, UX researchers, artificial intelligence product managers, chief artificial intelligence officers or chief digital officers. Usually a sponsor might be a CEO of the company or vice president of technology or CTO. Those actors are usually involved, and these people should be directly designed to all the tasks. Sometimes it's very difficult, sometimes it's not difficult. For instance, if you want to install the specific environment like TensorFlow and other frameworks, it's very easy to say, hey, data scientists and data engineers should be working on that, and data administrators should be also involved to get this thing done. But when we are talking about evaluating the accuracy of the model in terms of how it's predicting, for instance, the sales forecast or costs, or cost curve, this is very difficult to define that particular task is already done and completed. There's a lot of ongoing tasks. So responsibility should be very clear, even if that project it's an R&D phase. And the last great characteristic of great framework, that framework should be very well graphically designed, which means I'm not talking about being it's pretty or shiny or sleek, but I'm talking about this as the great set of sequences that we can put somewhere and everybody can look at that. It's not important to have it beautiful, but to have it so well designed that we can always say where we are at the framework. So the steps should be very clear and the diagram should be very, very transparent from the visual standpoint of view. So why having a framework is so important in mitigating the risk? First, great framework lets you stop when the team thinks that output will not be achieved. This is very important in conducting the artificial intelligence or automation projects. Great framework will stop us from entering the next step and picking up the next task if the tasks we're working on are are not delivering what we expected. Let me give you an idea. Let's say we are building an UX interface for the e-commerce website where recommendation and personalization will be delivered without necessity to log into the website. So we basically are dealing with users which are numbers because they didn't log in, so we don't know their name, last name, preferences, and we want to design the specific interface for that. In this particular situation, if we are approaching to that level that it's hard to get that personalization function and display actually an item related or other things that we think should be recommended, we will deliver that as the set of KPIs. Great framework will track the KPIs, and if the specific KPI of personalization, for instance, a net promoter score, it's not achieved, the great framework will tell us where we are and why we stopped. The second great element of framework is they are trackable. It connects with the point number one. If you track the progress, you might stop it and stop spending budget. That's why in automation and artificial intelligence, when many things needs to be tested many times, iterations are so important, and picking up the several tasks several times, you might say, we are not meeting the KPI, like for instance, churn prediction or user conversion rate and the proof of concept stage. So we stop it and the budget will not be burned for this exercise. So we stop, let's say, at the second step of the framework, which will help us to mitigate a risk a lot. Element number three that may help to mitigate the risk and avoid frustration is great framework has great responsibilities. So attached. And so every task, as I mentioned before, is aligned to somebody. If that person cannot perform because, for instance, we are missing a plugin or we are missing an environment, that person cannot pick up the next tasks. Frameworks are about the sequencing. So the sequence of the task is very important. So if one task cannot be completed, then the whole framework stops and we still see where we are and what are the blockers. It's very transparent. And the element number 4 that help companies to navigate automation and AI market projects is also the responsibility for the output. As I mentioned before, great framework always is based on problem statement definition and the projected output expectation. Let's say my output is to deliver 6 different landing pages for 6 different segments of the users which are built by artificial intelligence model. If I deliver 3 of them and I cannot build all of 6 of them, my problem statement is not met. It doesn't mean I have to push to deliver the 6 of those, but from this framework point of view, those problem statements are not met and the output cannot be delivered. So having that transparency involved will increase the quality of the conversation, because we are talking about how to train models additionally and how to actually update the framework, not how we can do something right now, right here, just as the quick win to get to 6 different landing pages. That's only an example. High framework will give us a lot of flexibility, but it still works as a frame for artificial intelligence and automation projects. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope to see you soon next time. Take care and bye-bye.